So if there's one thing that Liverpool know how to do, and to cheer you up after a pretty underwhelming end to a transfer window, it's that announcement. Listen, they failed me when it came to the you know what I mean? They failed me when it came to that. They should have posted it that way, but you know what though? I don't care. I was just, when I saw Isak in a Liverpool shirt just then, on the Liverpool official page, seeing compilations, seeing things getting done, it was just unbelievable. And I wanted to do a video for you just to announce that we have just signed, in my opinion, the best attainable striker on the market. And to be fair, he weren't even that attainable. We had to fight for it. He had to fight for it. And you know what's nice? It's nice that we can come to an end to the Isak saga, because it was months and months and months and weeks of, me having to clarify to people why this deal's going to happen, me having to shut down Newcastle journalists who were sort of misrepresenting. I thought guys like Craig Hope done a good job, but I thought guys like Luke Edwards just took a very emotional approach, and I just had to call them out on that. But in this case, getting this deal done, everything unfolding the way it did, the player being vilified by the world media, to the point where you've even got some Liverpool fans who still think he acted poorly, despite the broken promises. It seems to not matter when a club breaks a promise. Or if a player breaks a promise, it's the end of the world. But if a club breaks a promise, it's just, it is what it is. And I'll always use this comparison. If Salah was to have left last season on the back of being offered a deal, and then that deal get withdrew by the football club, and he decided to leave, guess what? You're not going to get a single complaint, hate comment, or any sort of frustration towards Salah out of me, because I will tell you for free, the clubs can get it wrong. And I think in this case, Newcastle did get it wrong. I think they made assurances to Isak that they couldn't keep. I think they offered him a contract that obviously was withdrawn, so they couldn't keep that either. That's going to create frustration, and ultimately this man wants to be the best in the world at the best club in the world. And now, and I'm a Liverpool fan, so if you want to say, Hala Madrid, fuck off. Liverpool's the best club in the world in my Scouse eyes, alright, and he has just joined the best club in the world, and he is the best striker in the world in terms of profile and everything else. And do you know what, right? We have just got the peak of the peak. This is honestly, you consider Robin van Persie to Manchester United, that type of signing where you've just bought one of the league's best, the guy who had the most goals in the league last season, outside of Mohamed Salah. He had more goals than Haaland before you start talking, and that was in a Newcastle team, by the way. Not only that, he won Newcastle their first trophy in 70 years. So to be coming into a club, and again, like Gay, he beat us in a final, do you know what I mean? And wow, just what a way to get it done. It took long, it was not ideal at all, but you can see the relief on his face and the joy in his voice to finally be in a Liverpool shirt. And I sympathise with some Newcastle fans, the ones who held strong and was sensible on the whole saga. But I think a lot of the Newcastle fans got duped by their own media and their own club's PR, and ultimately the world fell for it and vilified Liverpool in the process. So what I will say, I'm glad that's done, and I'm glad that that's been shut down and put in the water about all the nonsense that was being spread around the Alexander Isak saga. So it's done, it's official, it's announced. I had to come on and do a video about it because, again, I'm not in the Redmond headquarters, so doing streams and stuff is not as easy. That being said, I was on Husam's channel earlier. I'd done a couple of live streams yesterday, and I've still been doing videos for you lot throughout the process. So just to clarify the details of the deal for those who don't know, 6-year contract confirmed, so I think that's till 2031. Good match, James. On top of this, he's going to be offered good wages, but you can tell the main motivation here was to stay. Newcastle threw everything in the kitchen sink at Isak to stay, and 4 times, 5 times, even when the big lads from Saudi came into his living room, he absolutely shut them down, and it was beautiful to see. And I want to just say as well, to the likes of Inzi Kayla, who from February called this, you know what I mean? And I know people bantered Inzi Kayla, but what a source he's been this summer, called everything right down to a T. And even myself, I'll have to give myself a little pat on the back, because I stayed strong in this deal from 2 days after we signed Ekatike. I was on board with this, and I was committed that this deal was going to happen. And again, it would have took an extraordinary circumstance like today with Gahey. And by the way, Gahey had filmed his goodbye video for Crystal Palace. That's how done that deal was. So any journalist who's getting criticism off the back of the Gahey deal, obviously banter's banter, but if they're getting criticism, it's so unfair, because that deal was done. And that was the only way Isak would have fell through, is if some sort of Newcastle pull-out would have been the thing, and that's why Isak had to take the stance. And I think this is a lesson that when promises are made, sometimes the player has to take a stance. And listen, I know people don't like the idea of player power, but I think Gahey, he done it the respectful way, he done it the right way, according to the media, and look at the position that he's in, do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying he should have took a protest, and again, Crystal Palace have still treated Gahey very well, in a sense that they haven't made him promises, then broken it. You could say by letting him do the medical and then withdrawing it, but again, circumstances changed for Palace, which I'm sure Gahey would have understood. It's also reported Gahey was in floods of tears, and I can guarantee Isak would have been in floods of tears if this deal had not materialised. So to see that it has materialised is very happy. I think we can now put the Gahey stuff to bed, wait until January until that's finally done, because I still think we've got a lot of news to hear about Gahey and Liverpool between now and May. And I think Gahey is still set on and has his heart set on Liverpool, despite the fact if he is going to be a free agent, I'm sure there will be a few other suitors who do try and come in and get that deal done. But don't forget, he was only 35-40 million this summer. Clubs could have went in and tried and got Gahey. He was shutting down other clubs to join Liverpool. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon, especially if we're thriving in a couple of months' time. One narrative I do want to shut down before I end this video. We needed Gahey more than Isak. I'm not going to cope. Gahey is an elite centre-back who I absolutely would have loved at the club. But we've already got 4 senior centre-backs. We've got Leone, who's got more than a sufficient amount of Serie A experience, at a very good level, who was wanted by Juventus, Inter, etc. Highly rated by Arne Slot himself. You've then got Joe Gomez, Konate and Virgil. And this narrative about, Gomez and Konate, they're both injury-prone, I get it, you're not wrong. The point is, though, if you need to start worrying about 5th choice, you're starting to worry about the 1% of the time. And that's why, for me, you can't go into every season disappointed because you might be slightly under in one position. And to me, I don't want to say it's childish, because I get why people have those worries, because, you think back to the Virgil van Dijk injury season and whatever have you, but that is something that I have never seen since, and I'd never seen before. So I'm not expecting to see it again, is all I'm saying. It's not impossible, I get it, but getting another player outside of Gahey, for instance, for, over 80 grand a week to be a 5th choice would have been, no offence if you wanted this, but stupid, illogical to so many degrees. And that's why I think the options we have got, and I think the reason why I'm happier is because I rate Leone. A lot of you guys have noticed that, and I saw it on my Gahey video, Jesus, you don't rate him the way that I do, and I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised when they start to see Leone playing football for Liverpool. And do not forget, January is only round the corner. Well, it's not round the corner, but you know what I mean. It's a couple of blocks away. And when it does come, I do think we're going to see a lot of talk around Gahey, and it's going to potentially be a cheaper deal as well. And then guess what? If it doesn't materialise in January, it's going to be a nice, juicy £0 in the summer. And that's why I can't agree that Isak is the less important signing than Gahey, because we've still got 4 sufficient centre-backs, and we only had 1 striker going into the season in Ekatike. So to summarise that point, Isak was the key target for this summer. Not just for me, not just for a lot of Liverpool fans, but for the club. And I think now that people are going to see Isak in the Liverpool shirt, lifting it up, doing the interviews, it's going to be a lot more happiness spread around, that's for sure. So enjoy this, Reds. Smash a like on this video, and thank you for watching. And as always, I bloody love you. See you later.